Hi, dear all, I'm Dr. S. Parvati, working as an assistant professor in PG and Research Department of Economics, Kandaswamy Kandas College, Paramati Velu. Today, we are going to have a discussion on macroeconomic policy in this video. As we know, till 1930, almost all the economists were engaged only in the individual problems because they believed in the automatic working of the economy and full employment. Economists begin to deal with the national problems only after the Great Depression of 1930s. Here, the Keynes was the first economist to develop a systematic study on national problems and suggest suitable solutions. After Great Depression, governments begin to interfere in economic affairs. This necessitated concentration on policies to solve macroeconomic problems. So, here the macroeconomic policy is nothing but it is concerned with macroeconomic problems like unemployment, inflation, balance of payments, economic instability, and problems concerning growth. But it also deals with the ways in which the problems may be solved. Okay, let us move on the objectives of macroeconomic policy. We are grouping the objectives of macroeconomic policy under two heads, that is primary objectives, secondary objectives. Primary objectives includes full employment, price stability, economic growth, and equilibrium in the balance of payment. Let us discuss one by one. Full employment. Full employment is an economic situation in which all the available labor resources are being used in the most efficient way possible. Full employment is a situation in which anyone who is willing and able to work can find a job. Your full employment is an ideal and probably unachievable. Unemployment is unavoidable because it is impossible to guarantee job to every person who is able and willing to work. Some people may be unemployed because of technological changes, new products, and new techniques makes the old skill absolute sometimes. Further, in a free society, workers have freedom of choice. Some people may be unemployed because they don't like job. However, higher the unemployment rate, greater the divergence between actual aggregate output and potential output. Potential output means it is an output produced in an economy if all the laborers are gainfully employed. So, one of the major objectives of macroeconomic policy is to ensure a full employment. The next objective of macroeconomic policy is a price stability. Price stability means it's a stable level of prices in the economy, which avoids long periods of inflation or deflation, and it sustains the value of money over a period. It means the general price level in an economy does not change much over time. Prices neither go up or down. There is no significant degree of inflation or deflation if the economy maintains price stability. Why the government aims price stability means the instability in prices leads to either inflation or deflation. It creates the state of uncertainty. Hence, it affects the investment decision. It redistributes the income in favor of rich, and also it creates the problem in the balance of payment. Hence, almost all the modern economies are aiming to achieve stability in the price level. The third objective of macroeconomic policy is economic growth. Economic growth means what? Just increase in real GNP, increase in the value of national output and national expenditure. Economic growth is an important macroeconomic objective because it enables increasing living standards, improved tax revenues, and helps to create new jobs. According to Okun's law, every 3% decrease in output for every 1% increase in the unemployment rate. It means Every 3% increase in GNP can reduce 1% of unemployment. So, modern governments are aiming to achieve maximum growth rate due to reduce unemployment, poverty and misery. Okay, the fourth objective of macroeconomic policy is a equilibrium in the balance of payment. Balance of payment is a systematic financial record of a country's transaction with the outside the world in a given period of a time. That means what is the transaction that a country like India is having outside the world. We are recording all these transactions in a year. A nation's BOP is a summary statement of all economic transactions between the residents of a country and the rest of the world during a given period of a time. International transaction differs from domestic transaction in terms of foreign currency exchange. If a country's exports exceeds imports, it then experiences balance of payments surplus or accumulation of reserves like gold and foreign currency. When the country loses reserves, it experiences balance of payment deficits. Hence, maintaining the equilibrium in the BOP is an objective of macroeconomic policy. Okay, let us take a look on the secondary objectives. Here the secondary objectives are full employment, higher standard of living, social justice, control of monopoly, economic freedom, avoidance of cyclical fluctuations, and the balance of payment. I mean balanced regional development. Here, full production. The first objective is full production. Full production means underutilization of manpower or the manpower gap measures the GNP gap. Removing GNP gap is the objective of macroeconomic policy. Here, what is the GNP gap? This is the difference between the output at full employment rate and output at actual employment rate. That is GNP gap. Okay, the difference between the output at full employment rate shows its potential. But if it is the extent of employment shows the actual output. As it is very difficult to measure the full employment labor force, we can follow Okun's law. Here, he has developed this formula by setting 4% of unemployment rate as the full employment rate at the relates the division between the actual unemployment rate and the potential unemployment. The next one is higher standard of living. Another aim of macroeconomic policy is to provide higher standard of living to the people. It deals with the measures which help to improve the living standard of people. It aims to increasing the real income per head. So, it includes measures that ensures higher national output and reduce population growth. Thus, all government policies that promote growth and discourages over population fall within the purview of macroeconomic policy. For example, industrial and agriculture policies, trade and commercial policies, monetary and fiscal policies, all are described as a macroeconomic policy. The next one is reduction in inequalities and distributive justice. Fair distribution of national product is an important objective of macroeconomic policy. Higher economic growth may be accompanied by inequalities of income. Economic growth of this nature involves no social justice. In this case, the rich become richer and the poor become poorer. So, the major objective of macroeconomic policy must be such that the fruits of development must be enjoyed not by rich alone, but by everybody. Emergence of inequalities of income leads to concentration of economic power in the hands of the few people, which is hindrance to national welfare. Thus, the aim of macroeconomic policy also includes that which gives equal opportunities to all in income and employment. The next objective is social justice. The uplift of the society socially and economically is also on one of the objectives of macroeconomic policy. All the public expenditure programs that are undertaken to promote social welfare fall within the scope of macroeconomic policy. Social welfare programs like adult education, women's welfare, child welfare, old age benefits, and unemployment benefits are included in macroeconomic policy. Further, the infrastructure development activities of the state like provisions of medical facilities, lighting and drinking water facilities, and to public are included in the policies associated with the social welfare. Okay, the next object, the secondary objective of macroeconomic policy is control of monopoly. In a capitalistic economy, control of monopoly forms the chief objective of macroeconomic policy because the growth of monopoly power poses a serious problem to the nations. It leads to the concentration of economic power, waste of resources, and consumer exploitation. Exploitation of consumers by producer is a major evil of the monopoly power. This can be prevented by legislation. We can give many evidence that is the monopoly legislation introduced by countries like US, UK, and so on. The next one is avoidance of cyclical fluctuation. A capitalistic economy is always subject to cyclical fluctuation. At one time, it will be at the peak of prosperity, and at another time, at the feet of depression. Economic instability is injurious to maintain full employment and steady growth. Thus, the objectives of full employment and higher standard of living cannot be achieved unless the economy is free from cyclical fluctuation. The next objective is economic freedom. A free economy always ensures economic freedom. Any restrictions on the choices of trade will hamper the interest of the individuals to engage in businesses. However, this does not mean a laissez-faire policy. On the other hand, it means a policy of exercising the minimum control on private enterprises. Thus, macroeconomic policy includes economic freedom as one of the objectives. The last objective of macroeconomic policy is balanced regional development. Here, a balanced regional development is necessary to ensure a fair distribution of income and wealth. Under this, the backward region receives a preferential treatment in comparison to other regions. Thus, regional disparities in growth are eliminated. Next, what are the instruments of macroeconomic policy? Here, we are mainly quoting two instruments, that is fiscal policy and monetary policy. By using this policy, government achieves its macroeconomic goals. With this, I conclude my discussion on this macroeconomic policy. Thank you.